Is God root or is he not the root of all mankind?
그럼 그 루트는 하나님이 이 사람 저 사람에 들어가서 매일같이 같이 들어나가서 살고 들어갔나?
Then should God make appearance to everyone and everyone can see whenever they want to see him? If he's the root, does he stay under the ground and make no appearance so nobody really knows, nobody hasn't seen him, so nobody knows what he's like? Is that more normal? Or that he's a root, you said, but then everybody should be able to see him anytime he wants to see him and know everything about him.
가지는 올라가려고 야단하고 뿌리가 올라가려고 뿌리는 내려가려고 야단하고.
The branches are trying very hard to go up and grow, but the root try very hard to go deeper and deeper and stronger, wider and wider. So before we believed in religion, before we deeply believe in religion, we had some idea about God. But after we involve ourselves in deep religion and theology, then we even become more impossible to grasp of God.
그렇기 때문에 요즘 그 캔터베리 대주교가 말이야. 저 비숍들은 전부 다 신앙이 없다고 하죠. 전부 다 비숍들은 신앙 없지만은 신자들은 신앙이 있다고 하죠.
Like the Archbishop of Canterbury very lately said, the bishops have no faith, not so religious. Actually, what he means is bishops have no faith, not so religious, but ordinary laymen have a faith and they're religious. He's saying that, actually. That's a strange thing, isn't it? Bishops don't have it, but laymen have it. Well, if you keep on talking like this, or there's no end. And Father's topic this morning is what? Glorious beginning, glorious start. Then what Father said now, what does it have to do with the topic, which is the glorious soti, the glorious star?
자, 이렇게 여기 노르웨이 지방 가게 되면 말이야. 노르웨이 지방 가게 되면 밤이 있어 없어?
When we go to Norway, is there a night or is there no night? Nowadays.
그렇다고. 자, 그래서 밤도 없다가 아이고 해가 지면 뿌옇게 됐고 아침도 뿌옇고 그 기분이 좋아?
Well, there's no night nowadays. I mean, they're very, very, very small. The period of night, short period of night. Then there's the daytime. There's no night. There's daytime very soon. Is it good?
자, 해가 졌는데 치는 데는 밝아져 됐고 말이야. 해가 뜨는 데는 말이야. 밝아져 뜨는데 영광의 태양이요 그래.
When the sun is setting, and then you send the sun down, and when the sun comes up, then you say, "Oh, the glorious sun! Now it's coming up." Can you say that in Norway?
그래. 그 밤기간이 길고 찻집 같은 밤장에 발전이 전나가 아이고 노란 만도 보지 않고 너도 알 수 없고 이룰 수 있는 때에서 아침에 가서 휙 영광의 대야 어떻게 영광의 대야.
When the sun sets and it's pitch dark and darkness, and you try to fumble to feel everything out, but you cannot. You see, it's so dark, and you even feel the misery and the fear. But after that long the darkness, and then sun's coming up with the light, then you say, "Glorious sun." Then you welcome him. And which is most glorious sun, with a long night or the Norway? So do you understand what Father is pointing out?
그만 봐도 진짜로구나.
You know, it is the same as if you really, all you eat is a bitter thing all throughout your life. And you don't really think about eating any other thing. You just keep on eating the bitter things. And then for some chance, you eat the slightest, the sweet things. Then you really, your eye open up and say, oh, the sweet thing is so good. And you feel that.
그 무슨 말을 했어?
Do you understand?
그 매일 단 것까지 먹던 녀석 들었는데 단 것 집으니까 이겼어.
What about the ones who who are used to eating sweet things all the time? And then if you put in a sweet thing to his mouth, then he will just spit it out because he has eaten that so much.
그 단맛을 진짜 아는 사람이야, 진짜 모르는 사람이야.
Then that man who has been eating the sweet thing all his life, does he actually know the taste of sweetness?
자, 그 이치야 그렇다.
And it's such a simple logic, and we must really engrave it in ourselves.
자, 그럼 그 우리 영광에 출전해서 말 그 영광에 무엇을 중상고 말하는 거야? 우리 일상중상과 하나님 중삼아가지고 복귀 선물 중상고 하는데면 이거 이 역사를 걸고 세계를 걸고 모든 것이 다 들어가 있대.
When we say the glorious sortie, the glorious outstart, then that glorious means that has everything in it. All the historicity, all the historical happenings within the history of God is there.
자, 그 역사가 아주 좋고 춤추고 그죠? 즐거운 그 역사 때문에 그것이 영광스러운 날이라는 말을 하았어?
If the history was the happy and the glorious and all the time, it has been that way all thousands of years. The history was happy and history was hopeful and history was enjoying. Then, when you have a new start, can you say it was a glorious new start?
알아서 무슨 말인지?
Do you understand?
자, 이렇게 볼 때 그러면 하나님이 있고 인간이 있다.
Well, in this view, we know there are mankind and there is God.
하나님이 있는데 좀 그렇게 말해보자고.
Well, let us assume that there is God.
자, 그러면 하나님이 더 영광스러운 것을 맡겨내야 인간이 더 영광스러운 데 이상하다.
Then we can assume we can imagine then would God meet the glorious thing, or would the mankind would meet the glorious thing more than God?
어때?
Which one?
내가 하나님 돼서 당신보다 내가 더 영광스러운 것을 가져야 되겠어. 인간의 욕심은 하나님보다도 지지한다고.
Well, actually, the men are more ambitious even. Actually, they are not less ambitious than God. So they could say, God, I am going to be glorious too, he will say.
Glorious, not too, more.
More.
아니야, glorious.
I will be more glorious than you, the man will say.
너 그냥 욕심 있지?
You have that kind of ambition and greed, don't you?
나도 그렇다.
Well, even father has that.
자, 그러면 누가 영광의 승리의 날, 혹은 영광의 권세, 영광스러운 무슨 문화 이런 것을 전부 다 하나님이 갖겠어, 내가 갖겠어, 인간이 갖겠어 할 때는 말이야. 내가 할 것이다. 이런 거 전부 다 그럴 거라고.
Then the glorious power and the glorious civilization, then it is about to be here. Then
glorious victor의 승리자.
glorious victor, man of victory, glorious victor, that kind of title, everything. Would the man say, well, here's that, God, the Father, either you have that, or say, oh, I will have that, will they say that?
자, 그럼 어떻게 돼? 자, 당신하고 나하고 경쟁하면 내가 이긴다. 그래.
But whoever work harder, if God or if man will occupy that, then I will say, Father, I'm going to do more than you so that I will occupy that. You see, we compete with God.
그렇잖아, 그렇잖아.
Well, isn't that reasonable?
그렇다고. 자, 너도 그럴 수 있어?
So can you do that?
또 그래, 하나님이 얼마나 지금까지 역사시대 너도 고생했다자 뭐 7, 8천 년 일생밖에 못했지만 하나님은 창조 그날서부터 고생해가지고 지금까지 복귀 끝날 때까지 고생할 텐데 너 일생과 그 엉말일과 비교할 수 있어?
God has been working, as we know, thousands of years and has been going through much pain and more pain than we experience now, certainly more. But we've been going through maybe the same pain and same trouble as God, but only 80 years at most. We haven't even lived that long, maybe 10 years or even
알겠어 무슨 말이야?
small years. Do you understand?
자, 이제 그건 알겠어 무슨 말인지? 그러면 하나님이 도대체 복귀 섭리를 하는 데 있어서의 말이요 제일 꼭대기 때가 어느 때냐? 이
Then we can imagine that God, in doing His restoration work, He will have one peak time of work, the time of work of the peak.
이거 나올까나?
And isn't there, or is there the peak of His work?
물론 이것이 있지만 높은 히말라야 같은 높은 그 이상 없는 높은 꼭대기 하나 있다.
Of course, there is always up and down, more or less, but not in flat line. But then there is a peak, like an Himalayan, the mountains. The peak of His working and His suffering. There is.
자 그래가지고 말이야. 하나님은 당신이 암만 소철년 뭐 했겠지만은 말이야. 그렇지만은 내가 그렇지 않겠다. 그래서 맨 처음 히말라야 산 꼭대기에 떠 올라가가지고 하나님이 싸울 수 있는 모든 걸 전부 다 정리해가지고 일단 어떻게 나갔나? 이게 다 처리해놓고 거기서 쉰다면 하나님이 올라와가지고 볼 때 어떤가?
We may have not worked as long as God did, but how high, how intensely we work actually has no limit. So what if we occupy that hard work and occupy the peak of Himalayas, and after we done our work, we just sit there and rest, and when God comes by, and when God comes up to that point and meet us, then what would He say?
뭐라고 갔어?
What would He say to you?
넌 내 싸울 것을 네가 다 싸워서 이게 해놨구나 이게 이리 갔나 어디 갔나?
And will it say, you fought my fighting? and that's not fair. Would God say that
누구
to
나하고
you?
싸우려고 갔나? 어디 갔나?
And why did you do that? So is God going to fight against you?
뭐라고 갔어?
Or what would He say?
응? 뭐라고 갔어?
What would He say to you?
응? 자, 생각해봐라. 그거 뭐라고 그럴까? 내가 인간을 통해서 고생하던 모든 걸 다 잊어버리고 영광의 한순간이 인간을 통한 이루어졌구나. 그러가 나도 갔나? 아이고, 절망의 한순간이 이루어졌던 거야.
Or would He say, just enough to forget all the difficulty He had in thousands of years, He would say, oh, this is a glorious scene that I've seen. To find a man on top of the hill, the mountain before I. And will He really have a glorious feeling on that? Or would He say, well, He occupied my position?
절망이가 나요.
Or despair?
어딜 가서? 어딜 갔나 말이야. 그 어딜 가서 생각해봐라.
You must imagine that before we can ever be in any way near there.
그 무슨 만당해서?
Do you understand?
그 통일교는 무엇을 꿈꾸는 단체에게 뭘 하는 배이? 레벨면 도대체 뭘 세계 그 성이라고 되고 영국가도 야단하고 뭐 미국에서 야단하고 저러지 뭐 어디 영국가 있어 야단이 뭐야 뭐라는 거들이 이게?
What does the Unification Church do? What organization is it supposed to do? So far it has been stirring up all corners of the world and all about America and all about Africa and everywhere in the world, in Asia. And now the Reverend Moon comes from America to England, and now here we are making more noise than millions of Anglican churches. What are we doing?
독일 사람들이 문설기 뭐고 일불나는 사람들이 전부 다 문설기 뭐고 독일 사람 전부 다 나가지 이 뭐야.
We have gathered together all sorts of people here, the enemies and the different people and the people who have never imagined that kind of people existed, and every different people got together here and in a small place, and they just washing everything out.
자, 털개는 우유 먹고 싶어하는 사람이 있어 없어?
And who actually wanted to be here where you find yourself now?
자, 너 저 히말라야산 꼭대기에 눈이 서린 걸 볼 때 아이고 높긴 높다. 그거 전부 다 누구나 다 올라가고 싶어 하지만 올라가 안 가.
Well, the Himalayan peak is so big and so tall, everybody can see it, so high. And there's a snow-capped, it's unmistakable. And everybody they see it. Oh, that's very high and very tall. But does everybody who sees that get to go up there?
올라가자.
Everyone will start to go up there, but not half people will reach there.
자, 그 올라가려면 생명을 걸고 올라가. 죽자는 살기를 해야 올라간다니.
The only ones who can reach there is from the start that I will reach there or I will die. The man who determines like that
자, 예수님이
can only go up there.
예수님이 죽고자 하는 자는 살고자 하는 죽는다 한 것이 그 평지에서 한 말이야. 히말라야 산 꼭대기를 그래서 걸어가는 사람들이 입장에서 한 말이야.
When Jesus said those who are willing to die will live, and who are trying to live will die, when he said that, did he say that on a plain, on a field, a plain field? Or did he say that when everybody is about to go up to the top of the Himalayan? When did he say that? He said that when everybody is running on a field, didn't he? No. He said that when everybody was trying to go up to the making their determination to go to Himalayan.
죽는 사람도 죽는 것이요. 끝까지 올라간 사람은 올라간 길을 내기 때문에 길을 하게 돌아올 수 있다는 거예요. 이래 살고 저래 살고.
So we must know, we must understand that when those ones who will go up and reach there, then after reaching there, he knows how to come back. So he's the one who lives anyway. He lives this way and he lives the other way. He lives in any way. But those one who do not go up to the top will not even come back because he get lost on the way.
방향을 모른다고 산에 올라가던 사람들이 꼭대기 올라가기 전 방향을 모르고 그 꼭대기 올라가 살 길은 꼭대기 올라가든가 골짜기 내려가든가 둘 중에 하나 해야 된다. 골짜기 내려갈 길을 그만을 그 지친 사람이 내려가도 못하는 게 죽겠다고 해야 내려갈 수도 있고 올라갈 수도 있는 거야.
Actually, the one who goes into the mountain is surely get lost. Nobody will find their way. It's only when he reaches to the peak, then he knows where his direction is. When one goes up to the mountain and he goes in the mountain without reaching to the top, he will surely die there because he does not know the direction. Only
방황을 하룻밤 자고 이렇게 왔다 갔다 하면 완전히 완전히 죽는 거야.
So only those ones who are desperate, I will reach there, with all this desperation, who will reach there. He's the only one who survives. And once he reached there, then he know how to get down. But if you are halfway, you will never know how to get down. So
시제에 힘든다고 발끝을 아이고 힘들어간다. 힘들세 몰리고 어떻게 봐야 되는 거야?
So when they say, well, I'm too tired, this is too difficult for me to go. If you feel that you're already dead, so when you have when you're really looking for the peak of the mountain, if I don't reach there, I will die anyway. If I reach there, I will live anyway. So this is only determination we can make even halfway or the top.
자,
Those ones who will make the top and live.
복귀의 고개가 히말라야 산보다 높겠나, 낮겠나, 가깝겠나, 멀겠나?
Imagine we are talking about restoration. We are really seriously thinking restoration and carrying it out. And this restoration is returning to God. And do you think is more difficult or less difficult than reaching to the Himalayan top?
More difficult.
We can imagine that. It is not any less difficult.
거기에서 만약에 자기도 그냥 아이고 나 이건 산중에 죽어버리면 안 돼.
But when he starts thinking, oh, this is too difficult for me to go, then he's sure to get lost in the mountain, and he will simply get lost in the mountain.
그렇기 때문에 안내자가 있으면 그저 꽁을 붙들어가지고 이 땅을 그걸 따라가면서 안 돼.
And if someone is leading the way to the top of the mountain, then no matter how tired we become, the only hope that we become very desperate that we should never let go of him. We should never lose sight of him and then follow them.
손을 내밀어서 입을 물고 들어가야 된다고.
And if your hands are too tired, then you have to bite his clothing, his coat with your mouth, and then the live or die. You have to really catch up with him. What about you? After joining Unification Church, you are trying to go up to the peak of that mountain, and you've been walking quite a days now. Are you tired now?
No.
No. Thank you very much. 자, 그래서 하나님은 수학적인 하나님이라고 생각한다. 이런 길 가갔으니까 야 터니까 가려면 야 늙은 사람을 가지 말고 젊은 놈들을 가라게 이 자식아.
So God has already considered this long ago, and He's very mathematic too. And He say the old people, they will never make it. So you old people, you just stay there, and then got recruited only the young people, and God put only the young people in the Unification Church.
그래서 운동과 거기를 올라가기 위해서는 그 훈련 그 산꼭대기만큼 이상 힘든 훈련을 해야 되잖아요.
And before you can really take up to the mountain, shouldn't you train yourself in walking and sometimes running? You must properly walk and run and have a few advices how to live in the mountain, how to keep on going in the mountain. The young people must have that training too.
해야 되거나 안 해야 되거나.
Well, shouldn't the young people be trained even though he's young and healthy and they have 60 more years to go in your life? Still, can you be just now you start to the mountain, and do you think you can survive in the mountain? You must have some training, don't you?
자, 그러면 여자와 남자 볼 때 여자는 여자니까 그 산 올라갈 때 여자는 동을 흘러낼 텐데 그런 공식이 있어? 여자는 동을 흘러내.
Unlike it is commonly accepted that the women are weaker, they are weaker sex. So the weaker ones, we have to be generous about them. Shall we say that? Or since they are weaker, we must somehow equip with them the more the quality and train them even harder. Should we do that?
그래, 그렇기 때문에 여자들이 쓰막히게
And this is why it has been traditional. In Unification Church, the women worked harder than men.
암만 여자가 앞에 가더라도 남자 체면에 여자 떨어지고 따라간다고 말이야. 가만두고 말이야.
And then the men, since they have a face value, since they have a face and dignity, they cannot be outdone by women. So they try very desperately to catch up with the women, and try to get a step ahead of them.
그러고 있다고.
And this is the way it has been all throughout the Unification Church history. In Korea, in Japan.
너도 젊은이 늙은이?
Are you a young one or are you an old one?
자, 그러면 너 그 꼭대기 올라가서 결혼식 할래? 꼭대기 올라간 도중에서 결혼식 할래?
Then those who are single, are you going to get married after you reach to the peak, or are you going to get married on the halfway on the way up, and maybe after getting blessing and reach up to the top? Which one would you do?
자, 그러면 중간에서 결혼한 것은 그 영광의 결혼이시여. 그랬나? 아이고, 지역의 결혼식이요. 아, 꼭대기 올라간 것이 지역의 결혼식이야. 나 영광의 결혼식이야.
That if you get married on the in between, not after, not reaching to the top, can you say, "Oh, that's a glorious marriage"? Can you say that? No. Or if you reach up to the mountain and then get married, can you say more that it's a glorious marriage? Can you say that?
자, 그래가지고 중간에 결혼해가지고 키스를 하더라도 그저 그래가지고 이건 꼭대기가 여기 그래가지고 키스를 하더라도 입이 가득 아프고 키스를 하더라고요.
And if you get married on the in between, on the way up to the top, maybe you can't even kiss so strong because you're so tired and still have some time to go to the top of the hill. But once you win over the top of the hill and then kiss each other, then you can really embrace each other like you crush each other. You have nothing more to worry about. You will kiss and then when you try to separate, your mouth will extend one foot, like chewing gum.
예, 키스라면 그런 키스를 하고 싶어. 그냥 그 어떤 키스 하고 싶어.
Well, if you ever kiss another, would you kiss like that, or would you just kiss and smack and
자, 레버런 것이 말이야. 지금까지 저 도망대기 일쓰고 욕먹기 일쓰고 말리기 일쓰고 이런 고생 일생동 고생을 이러고서 이러고 하고.
Even Father himself has been the suffering all the time, and has been the being chased after all the time, chased by time and chased by all the elements and all the time, and have never been even stabilized.
이래서 패자가 된다는 게 안 되는 형편입니다.
And this is not to be defeated, or there's no chance of being defeated that way. More chance of victory.
그렇지만 승리하는 날에는 고생하는 걸수록 그 역사에 그 등대가 서는 것이요. 그것은 화산이 화라산이 형으로 만드는 거예요.
But then the goal is success. The goal is reaching to the top, and when one does, then it's like a volcano. Really, it's a living volcano, not a dead volcano, but it's a living volcano. There's a fire coming out of that peak, and that's a glorious the position. Once we reach there, if there is a more pain, it's so much the better, because it will transform into a more source of glory, not just a simple reaching to the goal, but if you work years and years, and the more pain and more miserable, then once you reach that, everything turns into gold.
누구든지 어렵더라도 나도 저렇게 가야겠다. 세계 사람들이 나도 그렇게 가야겠다. 이런 원동력을 만들어 놓습니다. 만약에 실패자가 되면 아이고 누구든지 안 가겠다.
And it's a matter of precedence too. Once we show that, win over that peak and show the example to the people, then many people will take a pattern after us. Many people will say, "Oh, he succeeded, and it's such a glorious thing. I would like to succeed too." Everyone will do that. But when we run first and we don't succeed, many people will look at that. Well, he didn't succeed, so maybe I don't want to do that too. They will say. Do you understand?
마찬가지 너들 가는 것도 너들 가는 것도 마찬가지야. 너들 실패자가 되면 난 갖다가 후퇴할 수 있는 길을 만들어 놓지만은 승리자가 될 땐 모든 어려움을 극복해가지고 너 후사들도 우리 조상이 가서 나져가야 되겠다고 영광의 길이 나가지는 것이다.
like yourself, you are the same way. Once you make to the top of that hill, the top of that mountain, then the many people, even your the ancestors, even your the children, all the next generations will all envy you and say, I will take his pattern and I will do the same way. And they will say, and there is enough road built, the glorious road, so many thousands of people will follow you.
여기 불란스 사람, 영국 사람, 모든 나라 사람이 다 모였지만은 다 모였지만은 그 불란스 아니 지금 불란스 이태리 사람이 요즘 뭐 고전한 점들 이태리 사람이 1등했다 그러면 저 이태리는 10년 100년 후에는 전부 다 세계 1등국이 됐다.
And it so happened that the first one to reach that peak is Italian. Then that whole Italy, the people of Italy will say, oh, it's the Italian who won the first place. Then more Italian will try. Later, all Italians will reach there because the first one to reach there was an Italian. You see, this example is a so powerful thing.
무슨 말이겠어?
Do you understand?
그러면 이제 우리 법기 성지에서 제일 히마리아 산적이 어디냐?
Then
언제냐 어느 곳이냐 이게?
Himalaya is something which is simple because something we can see with our own eyes. Then in dispensation, in a restoration course, which is the Himalayan peak, what can be called the Himalayan peak? Same as the Himalayan peak. In dispensation, in restoration, which we cannot see our eyes, we can only feel with the mind.
통일교회가 핏달이 제일 많고 참고 견디기 넘어가기 어려운 데다. 그건 틀림없는 말이야.
And it's simple enough that the opposition becomes the most unbearable difficult. The persecution becomes the most serious way, and that's very difficult even to tolerate. We might even, am I going to make it or not make it? We even think about that as we become desperate, trying very desperately. That peak, we can say, is a Himalayan peak.
그 맞는 말이야?
Isn't that simple enough?
또 통일교에서 말하기를 1차 7년 노정, 2차 7년 노정, 3차 7년 노정을 정했는데 1차 7년 노정은 쉽고 2차 7년 노정은 더 쉽고 3차 7년 노정은 더 쉽다는 말이야. 점점 어렵다는 말을 말하는 거야.
Or the better still example, we have a 7-year course in Unification Church, in our church. First 7-year course, second 7-year course, and third 7-year course. And does it mean that the first 7-year course is easiest? It's easy, and then second 7-year course is even easier, or the third 7-year course is easiest of all? Or first 7-year course may have been easy, but then second one was more difficult, and third one is most difficult. Which is more likely, the first one, second one? And you said it very well, because it is the way.
그럼 21년이 가까울수록 쉽겠나? 격전이겠나?
We have a couple more years to go to 21 years. And as we reach to that the peak of the year, would it become more and more difficult, or become less and less difficult until we reach that time?
More difficult, more difficult. Is that true or not? Yes. True. Yes, true.
That's not only just true, but like God said, perfection true.
자, 그러면 너들 저 7년 노정, 1차 7년 노정에 믿고 떨어진 사람 있고 2차 7년 노정에 믿고 떨어진 사람 있고 3차 7년 노정에 믿고 떨어진 사람이 때문에 어느 사람이 더 나을까?
Well, if there was
한이 많을까 말이야. 한이 많을까?
If there were a man, the member who worked hard on first 7-year course and then dropped, or the one who was dropped while he was going on the second 7-year course, or still there are men who work the hardest to the third 7-year course and then dropped, and who regrets more?
그왜 third? 왜 third?
Why the man who dropped from the third 7-year course regret more? True, because he poured so much of his love and power more.
조금만 좀 받으면 영원히 영원히 듣지 못한다. 영원히 듣지 못한다는 게. 나야 뭐 1차에 들어가서 떨어지니까 뭐 이거 이것이 뭐 그러지 모르지만 뭐 1차에서 떨어지면 뭐 그럴 수 있지만 2차도 그럴 수 있지만 3차요 달랑말랑하는 요 고개에서 떨어지면 영원 그 후회가 얼마나 괴롭게.
So it's not difficult to understand. When you drop on the first 7-year course, then he will think nothing of it. Well, he just doesn't miss so much. But if he try every step, and then only a small step left, but he becomes so blind he didn't see it, so he quit. And then later, dropped. Later, he sees so clearly. It was only a few steps before them there was a goal, and then he quit because he's thinking it was the going on and no end. Then he regrets so much more.
그렇기 때문에 영계에 있는 모든 하나님 이놈의 자식 조금 더 잘못한 자식아 선하는 이놈의 자식아 조금 더 그러지.
So this is why God is always saying, and then there's always good spirits always saying, you think there's the unlimited time ahead of you, but it's not so. It's a few more steps. So hang on. They will just advise you. They will just appeal to you, and they will spiritually they will encourage you this. Because they know it. Because they know what kind of a pain it is to drop rather than have a little more pain and go over. That's why the spirit world really reaches you.
선생님이 말이야 이제 선생님이 자유세계에 대해서 일할 때가 민주세계에 그래도 자유세계에 대해서 일할 때가 어느 때 끝날 거든. 지금 미국서 하다가 영국 갔으니 이거 어디 갈 거?
When do you think?
선진국가로 갈 것 같아? 후진국가로 갈 것 같아? 갈 거니?
When do you think Father's own work in the free world will end? Like the Father has been working in the free world from one country after another country. Do you think the Father's course will go to even a better country or the less advanced country, the backward country?
왜?
Why?
자, 그걸 보면 이것이 자유세계 국가로 보겠냐면 맨 꼭대기 이게 꼭대기 미국이 이쪽 꼭대기는 영국은 이쪽 꼭대기가 될 것이다.
So Father feels that if the America was the one at the end, and the England will be on the other end, this being a plateau, the plain land.
자, 여기서부터 내려가는 건 틀림없이 여기서 내려가는 것이다.
Then Father feels that surely from this on, Father will be on the downhill in its dispensation.
자, 이 영국 때문에 브라질 가든가 그런 생각합니다.
And Father feels that after the England, maybe Brazil, and a country like
아프리카를
that,
갈 것이다.
or maybe after that Africa. Father feels.
자, 그러면 영국과 미국 녀석들이 자기 책임담아도 브라질 따라올 수 있는 자격증 들어가나 봐.
But when Americans and the British don't do their work, then will he be qualified enough to follow Father up to Brazil? When they don't, when they fail to, fail their responsibility of their own country, then what kind of the faith would they have to follow him to Brazil?
틀림없이 이제 그래. 통일교에서 이세 이상도 핍박이 있을 것 같아, 없을 것 같아.
In the Unification Church life, do you think there will be more persecution than we have experienced in the past? Or do you think there will be no harder persecution than the ones we have experienced so far? No, persecution.
거기는 뭐 동상세계는 반대, 그건 이미 다 반대, 앞으로도 반대해야 돼. 그건 하나만 해.
Actually, that persecution peak is already past. There'll be no more.
너는 지금 저 연구소 나가 전도하는데 반대 그렇게 피를 물듯이 이렇게 반대해. 어떠래?
One time the persecution was so bad and so severe that really the blood and really the tears all the time spurted out when the member went to witness. But here in England, do the people persecute you that much?
영국이라는 말이 영국과 관계되는 커먼웰스 컨트리 말이야. 20개국이 말이야. 반대하면 안 한다.
Well, if the English do not persecute us, then all the Commonwealth country after that will not persecute us either.
그럴 것 같아?
Well, is it likely? Do you agree?
그렇다고 해서 레브렌문이 좋은 레브렌문이나 성났던 나쁜 레브렌문을 받아들였다 이야.
And so far,
나쁘다고 하는 레브렌을 받아들이는 나쁜 것을 받아들이는 게 아니라 나쁜 것이 아니고 좋게 받아들이는 거야.
so far the Reverend Moon's name has never been received by world as he's a good one. Everybody had that idea. It's not that. Somehow they heard that he's a really bad one. That's the way they have been hearing it. But if a country accepts the unification movement, then regardless either he good or bad, do you think a country can accept a movement if it is bad? Once he accepted, then it goes automatic that it is good.
한 나라가 받아들인 나라는 세계국가 반대들은 하루 종일 나고 있습니다.
So-
1년 동안 다.
So one country accept him, then that means all the rest of the country will follow the same pattern. Nobody will dare oppose him if one country accepts.
그럴 것 같아.
Isn't it likely?
응? 자, 그럼 환성의 소리가 불어난 장면에 통일게 있을 것이요는 그 경계선이 어느 때냐? 경계선이 어느 때냐? 그걸 알고.
Then the welcoming voice, the thundering voice of welcome to the Unification Church is bound to come to us, is bound to be heard. Then when would that time be? When is the borderline when this voice be heard?
그래서 무슨 말인지?
Do you understand?
그것이 어떤 런던 작전이야. 런던 작전.
And that borderline is London. This London operation is the London's working is that borderline. That's very borderline.
런던 하게 되면 여자는 뭐를 런던 뭐라고 그랬나 내가?
The other day, Father talked about London, didn't he? Didn't Father?
뭐라고 그랬나?
What did Father say about London? Long?
롱 뭐라고 그랬어?
London.
런던 하면 롱던. 그 맞던 게 되면 런던 롱다운 그런 뜻이야. 롱다운. 그 전부 다 일을 다 했으니까 전부 다 롱해서 이루었으니까 되면 내려가야지. 롱다운.
And that London is a long down too. It's a long downhill starting from London.
뭐 잉글리시라 뭐 잉글랜드라 뭐라 그랬나? 잉글랜드. 무슨 뜻이라고?
England means what?
잉글랜드. 그 잉글랜드고 밍글랜드 비슷하다고 야.
England and England and so alike in sounding.
자 그래서 이거 참다 밍글랜드 독일도 폴란드도 뭐다 밍글랜드.
So the France, England, and the Germany, all are mingled here, making the Mingland.
알겠어? 지금 이 런던 작전은 선생님에 있어서는 이것은 결정적인 그 경계선을 설정했다는 알아야 되겠다고 알겠어?
So you must know that Father has already planned this London operation, the decisive, the turning point, the borderline of the Unification Church, the efforts. It will become easier from this point on is what Father said
이래서
as a
이래서
goal.
이제 한국으로 돌아가는 길이야.
Then Father goes back to Korea, on his way to Korea now.
옛날에 한국에서 떠날 때는 말이야. 떠날 때는 문영의 어려버린 아무도 몰랐다. 이제 여기 와서 이제 두 해론 다운 해가지고 여기 갈 때는 한영의 어려버린 거야. 하나.
I started from Korea years ago, and then go to America, England, and then when he goes down back to Korea, then he will be the ones to be welcomed and received by Koreans.
그래서